Welcome back to video 4. There is a quote by Malcolm X that says, usually when people are sad, they don't do anything. They just cry over their situation. But when they get angry, they bring about change. When I initially heard this quote, I was like, wow, yeah, And I thought about Malcolm X, and I was like, yeah, by any means necessary, blah, 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 blah. Because that's another quote that's, attributed to Malcolm X as saying and, saying often. And I always looked at it, he's militant, da, 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 da. But then I started looking at those words, and I started looking at actual, like, Malcolm X as the person. And when Malcolm X was angry, when he was at his most prominent, his work wasn't to change other people. He started by changing himself, and then he invited and attracted people that were like him. Let me say that again. When he got angry, he focused on changing himself, because Malcolm X was so far different from the Malcolm Little that he had grown up as. And so when he used that anger to channel and change himself, he then was able to invite and attract people who were like-minded. And in some ways, that is such a powerful example of what anger can do when you use it to your advantage. It's an ideal example. And I don't think many people look at Malcolm X that way. I remember reading his autobiography, and, towards the end, Alex Haley relays a story about how Malcolm X had gone to Mecca. And as he sat beside blonde hair, blue-eyed, brothers and sisters of the Muslim faith, and he saw people that didn't look anything like him and were so different from the Nation of Islam, and how he could only feel, love for them because they were on the same journey. His heart changed. And Alex Haley also relates a story in which he says something to the effect of, like, how they were in a car, and there was a white gentleman who said something to the effect of, I appreciate what you're doing for your people. And Malcolm X replied, I would love to have more people like you on my side, or something along those lines. I'm misquoting it, but the sentiment was he could appreciate all people regardless of what they look like. But he was committed, he was compassionate, and he was a little bit crazy, right? To endeavor to do the things he had done, especially coming from the background that he had of poor and ex-con and all these other things. But he didn't let those things mark him and label him and hold him down. And so I have established a fundraiser in which I am inviting people to help me live my dash. And the money is to help me establish the legal and aspects of the entity that I'm creating, so that it becomes a community-run corporation. It is an investment company. Almost 3 years ago now, God told me that L.U.V Enterprises was going to be an investment company. And I didn't know how. I was sleeping on somebody else's couch at the time. But seeing the things that have been happening in our world, I now understand. But in order to be able to gift this to not just the community here in Raleigh, but communities around the country and perhaps around the world, I need to get it legally established here and now, so that me and Wisdom, when the time comes, can step away from it and know that's being run in the right way. And that it will always maintain the mental model of humanity for all people. And so if you would contribute to my fundraiser or get involved in another way, you can find the link to the fundraiser as well as a link to the to a Google Doc below that has ways that you can get involved. And if you don't feel called at this time to contribute to what I'm doing, then I simply invite you to reach out to and donate to Equity Before Birth. Because one of the things that came out in the Preventing Childhood Trauma Summit was the importance of the prenatal work and those early years of a child's life, the first 3 years of a child's life, from prenatal to 3, 5, 7, that's early childhood, right? 8. And so Equity Before Birth is helping moms, especially is helping Black moms and other birthers to have safe, equitable pregnancies. Raleigh ranks 8th in the nation for infant and maternal mortality during childbirth or during, the prenatal experience. And Equity Before Birth is a small organization serving only 3 counties, serving about 12 families a year, but helping moms to have a doula or a birth worker through their prenatal care, and then providing services for their families up until their children are 15 months. So if you can field some money to them, they've started the work that needs to be done. But if you could help me, I will escalate it and I will elevate them too, because they are an essential part of the work that I'm doing in the place that they're doing it from, starting with those who are pregnant and expecting or in the early childhood stages. What I intend to do, what the work that I've been called to do, is to work with adults backwards, because there is still an inner child that needs to be addressed, that didn't get the attention, the security, the soothing, or the safety that they needed. And so that is my call. And if we can address families from pregnancy to adulthood and adulthood back to childhood, then we will begin to change the world as we see, and it will become a better place, because it will be built on a system of humanity for all people. And if you can, get that book upstream and read it. And if you can, look into the waters something for systems thinking. I can't think of the other word. I think it's a name. But these changed my life. And the fact that God put them in the same week together was not by accident. And so I just want to say thank you for taking this time to listen to what I've produced. And thank you in advance for helping me to change the world. And not just change the world, but change the mental model upon which it is established. I look forward to the new world that we will create together. God bless, and enjoy the amazing day you're creating. Peace.